For me, I really like that you get the opportunity to do something that's time limited, you're kind of parachuted in and then you immerse yourself completely in it. And there's a clear end point as well, so you know what you're committing to and it's quite a structured thing, you know what you've got to deliver, and I find that quite appealing. And it's a kind of complete all immersion in it just for that period of time. And also I get to work with people that have got very different skills and experience. So in our team we've got people that have worked with the sector for a long period and they've got a really good understanding of the business concerns.
In my experience, they give clarity as to what needs to be done, by when, gives you a critical path so you know where you have to do things and when. It helps you to understand what resources you need, what are the people, what are the skills that you're looking for, when do they need to be applied to the work, and effectively when you need to resource up and resource down in order to deliver the piece of work. But the key thing is about ensuring that you can deliver what it is that you need to do.
The benefits of the project-based working approach is very much the mixing of staff. You know, if you're also, brought into a new team, you're brought in for a specific reason. You've got skills and experience that the people in the current team don't probably have. That's why you've been brought into the team. And I think by mixing staff up, you can learn from each other. I've got skills and experience that they haven't got. They've got skills and experience that I haven't got. So mixing staff together means you can learn from each other, and hopefully by integrating and talking, working together, you can deliver objectives more successfully.
It was really helpful to have the project approach because people slotted into it. They understood the rules, the Prince methodology and the MSP methodology that was being applied. They understood their roles, they understood about risk, etc. So it was very easy to form that group of people from across the world actually to deliver those mitigation actions in a period of 3 to 6 months. And spending many millions of pounds very successfully and in a short time.
As a manager, I have to say that I think flexible resourcing and project working is a really powerful tool for enabling the department to be able to allocate its staff resources to new and emerging priorities. Made the department much lighter on its feet. And I think for BIS, that's the key. The kind of big picture stuff here is that the civil service reform plan is a reality. It's going to continue to come our way, and as a department we're going to need to be able to deliver more with less resources. And so we're going to need to be lighter on our feet. I think this way of working could become a key part of our response to that.
Well, our project is actually quite far behind schedule, in my personal opinion. And I think part of the reason for that is that when it was mooted that there was going to be a strategy in this area, the department didn't, I don't think, necessarily act straight away in getting the senior manager, that's the director, and the deputy director in place at an early stage. So it was announced last July, and then there was several months where there wasn't really proper leadership of the project. It was tacked on to someone else's day job. And then we got a director in the autumn and a deputy director later on, and now that's fine, we've got that leadership. But in the interim, there was a lot of drift that went on when, if I'd have been sort of going, now, what's the ideal thing to do? You would have resourced the project fully and got cracking on it. And because our deadline is still where it is, we can't delay that very far. So we've now got less time to deliver the quality project, and we've got a disadvantage.
2 areas I think I'd have changed if I could go back and do it again. The first is to be as focused on the ongoing operation as I was on the new plant and the new kit, the new process coming in. It's very easy to get completely tied up in the new stuff and lose sight of what's actually giving you customers at the moment, what's the work that has to carry on behind. And I think in retrospect we managed to demotivate people who were actually providing the basis for everything we were doing. The second area I would do is be much clearer about handover criteria for the end of a project. So we get very focused on the start of it and bringing everybody in and how you're going to get it there, and don't think enough about what happens at the end when the extra project resource disappears and you're left ongoing trying to operate with the new kit, the new plant, the new understanding. And managing that transfer back is as important as setting it up in the first place.
I have seen programme officers take on a life of their own and become quite an industry in themselves and add quite a significant burden to projects and project managers, rather than actually, I think, properly, supporting the management team in terms of making some of the prioritisation decisions they need to. I think it is possible. Well, I've seen the language of project management applied without actually applying project management discipline. So, getting close to just renaming a policy team a project team, but actually not fundamentally changing the way that it works. And I think it's possible to go through some of the processes and miss the point in a sense. So it's possible to produce a risk register and actually do nothing to manage your risk.
I think there are a number of things that are really important in order to make project planning effective. The first one is that word planning. I really don't think that we do enough, either in the context of teams that are running projects, but also departmentally in terms of doing business planning that really allows people to look forward and think about when resources need to be deployed. The second thing is that we have a tendency to see teams as being standing teams and to hold on to that resource. So it's quite easy for me as a deputy director to say I have X number of people and to see those as my team and the people that I have to hold on. Inevitably, there are periods when there are fluxes in work, times when we don't need all of those people and times when we need more people, and it's quite difficult to be able to flex resources effectively.
I think proportionality is enormously important. You can apply project management to a 6-week piece of work and you can apply it to a 3-year piece of work, and I think actually using the right tools and techniques is enormously important. So some of the best people I've worked with have done very short project scoping documents and have just really used it as a very simple framework to say, this month we're doing X, next month we're doing Y, the month after we're doing Z. Not a lot of paperwork, but a lot of structure and focus.
Well, first of all, leaders who get it and who are able to apply a proportionate approach to the programme and project that they're managing, so that you're not layering governance and unnecessary process on top of what needs to be delivered, to focus on benefits, to understand what will be delivered, where, when and how by the team. Thirdly, to focus on KIM, knowledge and information management, to ensure that everybody in the project has the right information in the right place, right time. They have easy access to that information through the tools that they use intuitively. And finally, that they have access to lessons identified by other projects who've delivered similar outcomes in the past, and that they don't make the same mistake twice.
I think the most important cultural change that we need to see is people seeing themselves as a departmental resource rather than a team or unit resource. I think the way that we create jobs at the moment drives people to see themselves as the person who does a certain thing. And consequently, it's quite difficult for them culturally to think that if things are quiet in their area, they should be going and doing something else, perhaps in a completely different area. So I think the key thing is about people seeing themselves as a resource that can be deployed across the department depending on the needs of projects rather than their job description.
I mean, I think what else is key is, to share knowledge and information. There's lots and lots of programs and projects across the whole of BIS, and it's not rocket science. I mean, the sort of subject matter might be different, but the processes and structures that you put in place and the way you do things are pretty similar. So I think sharing information, knowledge of what's worked well, what hasn't worked well, probably more importantly, so people don't make the same mistakes twice, is really, really important.
I think firstly you've got to realise it's not a silver bullet. It helps you, but like anything, you've got to do it in the right way. So just calling something a project, calling somebody a project leader doesn't automatically transform things. You have got to give people the right tools and techniques and training, and you've got to have the right structure around to support it.